Arguably the most neglected and often forgettable part of an episode of anime is the ED. And for good reason too. Like, the episode's over. What am I sticking around for? To see the multitude of names of talented people who poured blood, sweat, and tears into creating the masterpiece I'm watching? Fuck no! Just let me see the next episode already. But what if the ending was more than this? Instead of the credits rolling behind some basic animation, instead of being an annoyance cucking you after the most diabolical cliffhanger, it expands upon the narrative. It lets you process the episode, as well as reinforce its themes. In my opinion, Frieren is a show that epitomizes this, blending an emotional song with visuals that actually mean something, and inspired me to make this video.
Mom said I have to go. No! Okay, we can play tomorrow.
Hey man, I don't know if you still remember me, but we used to play like 8 years ago, lol. I got married last week, actually.
And this is sort of what this ending feels like in a nutshell. Like, oh my god, the first time I listened to this, I actually teared up. And that's saying something, because I didn't even cry while watching CP. Cyberpunk Edgerunners, I mean. Much like the opening, Frieren's ending song combines emotional lyrics with visuals that tell a story, and this time, an epilogue to her journey. The moderato tempo, with a focus on raw singing prowess by Millet, really emphasizes Frieren's internal turmoil as she reaches the end of her journey. For the first ED, I'm going to discuss the lyrics and animation separately, since they don't necessarily relate and express different things. Imagine that Frieren has finally reached Ender, and is about to talk to Himmel. This is the first thing she says, longingly yet timidly asking if Himmel is there, and wants to talk to her, as she knows how cold she was to him throughout their time together. The ballad then hits us with some juxtaposition through the lines, crying excessively and wanting you to smile. The former being a reference to Frieren at the funeral, and my headcanon of Frieren crying after seeing Himmel again 50 years later. But the more positive latter part is what Himmel would have wanted. He wants her to be happy because of the memories she shared with him, rather than regret and grief over losing him, which makes sense with this next part. These words are thank you. Originally, I thought it would be something like I love you or I'm sorry, but these don't really fit for their own reasons. I love you sounds very right, aligning with the sentimental tone in this exchange, but this ignores the last part, unremarkable yet special, because saying I love you to someone is pretty fucking remarkable if you ask me. So I was like, maybe it's I'm sorry. But then I realized I'm a fucking dumbass because that would contradict the previous line where Himmel wishes for Frieren to smile. So finally, I came to the conclusion that these unnamed words have to be thank you, as it fits the bittersweet undertones of the song so far. This phrase is so common in our vernacular, yet carries so much weight, especially in this context where Frieren has come to understand why Himmel had meant so much to her, and is the reason she could see things that she couldn't have seen if she was on her own. Then we reach the chorus, the emotional peak of this ending, and it is truly heartbreaking. The repressed love Frieren had for Himmel finally erupts. Through this poetic manner, she vows that even if she had 1,000 lives, she would choose this path which leads to Himmel every time. And in those, she would not make the same mistake of letting Himmel become a memory. Instead, Frieren would choose to relish the time they have together. And this just fucking stings. Regret is something you can't live life without. But the magnitude of your regrets can range greatly from, damn it, I knew I should have picked Mega Knight, to, damn it, I realized too late that we loved each other. And unfortunately, for our 1,000-year-old baby, it was the latter. But despite this depressing reality, the ballad ends on a hopeful tone. Frieren accepts her repentance, recognizing it as something she can't change, and takes it as a learning experience. She assures Himmel that she'll be alright, and will continue to carry his legacy forward through memory, with the last line, I'm whispering a lullaby for you to come back home, where the lullaby symbolizes an antecedent, which triggers a fragment of Himmel to come back into Frieren's memory. As I said at the start, just reading the lyrics makes my eyes watery, and a huge part of this is because of how well it ties into the story of Frieren, especially the way it quietly motivates you to imagine what the true ending of Frieren would be like, and the emotions in that moment. Apart from the lyrics, The visuals in this opening don't offer much in terms of its own story, but it is a key example of the importance of flowers in Frieren, as the animator behind it, Ho Ho Bun, has put considerable thought into each flower used. And luckily for me, they actually revealed the meaning behind them. So for this next part, I'm just going to do the video essayist book move of quoting directly from Twitter. The ED opens with a floral pattern, forming Frieren's eye. Notice how it's desaturated, indicating that she was gazing upon the world from afar, like she isn't really a part of it. Compare this to the very end, where her eye is brighter and more intense, as she has come to immerse in the world through her adventure with Fern and Stark, while still reflecting on her past journey with Himmel and the others. For the flowers, first up we have purple cherry blossom leaves and flowers, which symbolize Fern. This is obvious from the red ribbon, which is from where Frieren first met Fern and thus catalyzed her new journey. Cherry blossoms are the embodiment of mortality, as they bloom so beautifully, yet are so short-lived, which is what Fern's life is to Frieren. However, the flowers also represent new beginnings, aligning with the current story of Frieren running it back. Also, at the last second, we catch a glimpse of the white butterfly, also betokening Fern. After the cherry blossom season comes the wisteria season in Japan, which explains the transition to this orange wisteria representing Flamme. Inherently, wisteria means love and longevity, but also social prestige, which perfectly encapsulates Flamme going down in history as the creator of humanity's magic. A legendary mage who was a mother figure for Frieren and loved magic with a childish innocence, believing magic can bring joy to the world instead of destruction. Okay, I lied. That wasn't a direct quote. I actually had to use my brain to come up with that. But now I'm gonna do what I said before and start fucking profiling every flower in this ending. Gentian! Gentian. How do you pronounce this, bro?
Gentian.
This flower is often given as a gift to wish someone a long life, and is often used as an offering. It is not too flashy, and its dignified beauty and cuteness matches Frieren's hair. Contrary to its beautiful appearance, the flower's meaning is victory. I thought that her strong side, which is defeating demons, is one of Frieren's charms. Himmel, English bluebell. This is a bluebell shaped flower that grows in clusters in England. I thought the name and rounded shape matched Himmel's hair perfectly. When I searched for it, I found photos of beautiful flower fields blooming in the forest, which reminded me of the bluebell fields and were very beautiful. Among the flower meanings, unchanging heart seems to fit well. Eisen, barley. The rich brown beard reminded me of barley. The flower language is also auspicious, so I decided immediately. A single stalk of barley does not give the impression of Eisen, so I expressed it as a bundle of barley. The grey cloth that holds it together is based on the image of cloth wrapped around Eisen's arm. You can see this on a desk or in an autumn landscape. Haita. Oniyuri. The tall stem that stretches upward gives the impression of a tall figure, and the shape of the flower, which curves backwards, resembles a slick back hairstyle. I think the flower's meaning of cheerful fits Haita, who loves to drink, perfectly. And that was all I could steal from the Twitter page. I'm just kidding. Honestly, huge respect to them for making the animation and doing it in such a unique way. So please go support them on Twitter. I'll link it in the description if you want to check it out. And if the first ED struck a chord, and I don't mean a minor, then oh boy, you might need therapy after the second one. Right back at the start of this chapter, I said, the first time I listened to this, I actually teared up. And that is because of the second ending, which I think quintessentially fuses the lyrics and imagery into a boiling pot of pepper spray, which is what you feel you got dunked into by the end of it. The second half of this opening is really a two birds, one pool of tears type beat, as the lyrics reflect the somberness at the core of Frieren, while its animation depicts the hope at the end of the tunnel, leaving a bitter-sweet taste after finishing an episode. Shit, I literally just repeated what I said in the first half of this chapter. But I mean, it's literally the same song. So why am I talking about the second ending separately? Because the visual storytelling is literally the best I've seen in any media so far. For an ending. Immediately, the lyrics hit you with a shot to the liver, as Himmel answers Frieren's call from the first ED.
And I'm alright, yeah, I hear you.
With Frieren's echoey voice,
Alright, I care about you.
spoiling the fucking ending to the ending. You'll see why in a second. But anyway, while its lyrics imply that Frieren has reached the end of her journey, the bleak animation illustrates the start. Frieren stands next to Himmel's grave, unsure of how to move on, and drowning in regrets. For the first time in her life, she feels truly alone, as Himmel, who she did not register as a significant part of her life, is gone forever. Swinging back to the lyrics, Frieren looks back and realizes how precious time is, and why Himmel was adamant on cherishing that short 10-year crusade, as each moment had a purpose. But we shift our focus to Baby Fern, as Frieren meets her for the first time back in episode 1, marking the start of her new journey. Pay attention to this red ribbon because it will be important later on. And oop, there it goes. Segueing back into Frieren still being depresso expresso about Himmel, her earrings fall back into the ground, with her following it as if falling back into her memories and wanting to relive them. The rest of the lyrics hammers home the deep regret Frieren has regarding Himmel, and plays out very similarly to the first ED, with her confessing she would stay with him if she could hit the reset button, and then accepting fate, and realizing that the real Himmel was the friends she made along the way. And right at the start of that way, she meets Fern, demonstrated by this bit where Frieren's earring merges with Fern's butterfly, causing it to transform into the present Frieren buys Fern back in episode 3. While subtle, this gesture is pivotal in Frieren and Fern's relationship, as it marks Frieren's first attempt at forming a genuine connection and trying to care about a human. The butterfly flies off, embarking on its trek towards Ender, and we see as Frieren wanders a little in this dark forest, that Fern's ribbon provides a path for her to follow, while the butterfly from before hovers around, representing the fact that Fern is still just tagging along, despite guiding Frieren in the sense of parental care, as well as being the catalyst for Frieren learning what feelings are. So basically, this entire sequence and the next depicts Frieren's attitudes towards Fern, someone who is very important to her, yet she still undervalues in the pursuit of something she deems more valuable. Do you see the parallel yet? The journey continues, with the winding trail of Fern's ribbon leading Frieren to her destination, past the Demon King's castle, and to the end. There, Himmel stands before her, represented by his signature blue moonweed. The butterfly reaches the flower before Clay Frieren, which is interesting because this means from her perspective, it was like the reward at the end of her journey wasn't just seeing Himmel, but also Fern. This is reinforced as the butterfly metamorphosizes into an angel Fern, reaching out to Frieren. Earlier, I offhandedly said that the real Himmel was the friends she made along the way, which you probably forgot about because the average attention span of Gen Z is less than Usain Bolt's 100-meter record. But that wasn't just a throwaway line. The point of this ending is to show that even though the premise of Frieren's journey was to reconnect with Himmel, the real reward was her relationship with Fern. Frieren saved Fern in a sense, as she fulfilled Hyda's request of looking after her, and also teaching Fern the joys of magic, giving her a newfound meaning to life. At the same time, Fern saved Frieren by being someone who she can talk to and grow to care for. They have almost a sister-sister relationship, as Fern joked about back in episode 3. In seeking consolement by reaching Himmel, Frieren found it on the path towards it. Even though Himmel was a D1 simp, and many scenes depict him trying to rizz Frieren up, his true wish was for Frieren to learn to appreciate life and the people you meet, even when he's gone. As such, the ending finishes on an optimistically melancholic note. The animation doesn't magnify Frieren's regrets of losing Himmel, but redirects the focus on how she compensated for her blunder. In the final scene, the shot of Blue Moon Weed pans upwards to Frieren lying peacefully in Fern's lap. Himmel will always be an important part of her, but now she also has Fern. Frieren now has something to anchor her to the world, as Himmel once did for her, and for that reason, she is no longer alone.